Hello, friends. My name is Michelle Onuorah, and I am a speaker coach here at the Speaker Lab. Today on Talk Speaker to Me, I will be digging into the topic Branding 101. Okay, so couple things that you want to keep in mind when you're thinking about your speaking business as a whole. Remember, it is a business, and every successful business has a brand identity. So, as you're building and developing your speaking business, you are also building and developing your brand. And when you are the brand, as most speakers are, you have to keep a couple of things in mind when you're trying to strike a balance between being personal and personable, as well as professional, right? So, uh, and one of the common questions that I get when a student is speaking with me is, Michelle, I want my audience to feel like I'm a warm person. I want them to relate to me, and at the same time, this is a business, and I want to be professional. So how do I strike that balance? A couple ways that you can do that. First of all, you need to come up with your brand identity from the start. So think about what type of color palette you want to have for your site, for your demo, so that you can be consistent across the board. Some of the most amateur looking brands are those that do not have consistency and are kind of all over the place in terms of color scheme, tone, copy, et cetera, et cetera. So get really clear on your messaging, get really clear on the vision of what you want your brand to be. And as long as you are consistent with that, people will consider you to be a professional. Whether you're using formal language and referring to yourself in the third person, or if you are more of an informal brand and you're to yourself in the first person and using a little bit more casual language. There actually isn't a right or wrong when it comes to your branding, but the main thing is to be consistent and to have a vision from the start. Okay. A couple other things that you want to think about as you are developing your brand is think about what are some other brands that are out there that are inspiring to you. So, when I first started my brand with the Center for Prophetic Listening, and I decided to make that my core topic, I had a vision for my website in mind. I had a vision for my color palette. I wanted it to be bright, clean, airy, with a lot of photos, a lot of white space in the background so that it would feel like a more minimalist, chic type of look. And that worked really, really well for the first few years of my brand. And then over time, I realized that I wanted to make a shift and update the look of my platform. And I ended up stumbling across a marketing expert, and I just fell in love with her brand. And I fell in love with her color palette. It felt soothing to the nervous system, and so I took a lot of inspiration from how she presented her brand, and also how I felt as I was exploring her brand. I wanted the people who came across my platform and my site to feel the way that I felt when I was on hers. Now, that doesn't mean that I copied her exact aesthetic. I did not. I actually made note of what are the elements of her brand that I find so soothing to be a part of. What are the elements of her brand that are drawing me and that feel attractive to me? And then what are some elements of her brand that don't necessarily resonate with me? So again, you are not plagiarizing other people's brands, but you are looking at other platforms for inspiration in terms of what appeals to you and what doesn't, and then working from there. When you land on a brand and you you carefully curate it and create it, and it finally is in a place that you really really love, um, the hard work is done temporarily, right? For a season, you probably don't have to revisit that brand or make a bunch of changes. But things change, things evolve, people change, styles change, the times change, right? So, how many of you have ever come across, let's just say, a woman whose hair looks like it was from the '80s, right? Like she never caught up with the times and got some good conditioner. Like, how many of you have ever run into somebody who they've teased their hair to infinity and beyond, and they look like they literally came from, I don't know, a Kiss video shoot or something like that? you don't want to be that type of brand. You want to evolve and change and grow as time goes on. So pay attention to trends as they emerge. And you start to see this in some of the leading brands in bigger companies, right? You start to see the aesthetics that are being used, what's trending, what's not. That doesn't mean that you have to change your brand every single time you see an evolution and branding, but you should revisit your brand and your site, your demo reel, your materials, how you're presenting yourself to the public. You should revisit that. I would say at least on an annual basis, and maybe even biannually. But you do want to make sure that your site, your calling cards are modern and that they are with the times. There's nothing worse than going to a speaker site or a supposed professional site and looking at a website that looks like it was made in 2002. Okay, don't want to do that. Um, and then finally, what are the signs that someone that you might feel or receive if you're building a brand that's out of touch with your offerings? Um, Typically, you'll get some feedback from those who you're trying to do business with, and a lot of times there will be an indication of confusion. So they may ask you, well, what exactly is it that you speak about again? uh, who are you trying to speak to? What's your market? Wait, what? I don't understand what exactly you're trying to do. If you're getting those questions, then that means that you need to revisit your brand right away and take a look at your messaging. Take a look at your copy on your site. Take a look at the images that you're using. Really deconstruct your entire brand and figure out what are the kinks in the way that you're communicating with your target market. Okay. It's really, really important that there is ease when people go to your site and they know, oh, this is exactly what she does. This is exactly what he speaks about. This is exactly his or her area of expertise. You want people to be able to connect those dots right away, because there's nothing more frustrating than going to a website and feeling confused the entire time you're there. That is not a good impression to leave on potential event planners and decision makers. So remember, your brand is really an imprint of your identity, and it's something that can actually be a lot of fun and can be a channel of creativity. And when it's done really, really well, it causes you to stand out and look like, I don't know, a 5,000, 10,000, maybe $15,000 speaker that can command those fees because of the excellence of your brand. So be sure that you're paying attention to the conduct of your brand. I hope that this is helpful, guys. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this short episode. I hope this was helpful to you. Until next time.